What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, providing me that love and support. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share with your peoples. Out here, you're just dropping some game, dropping some gems to black men in particular that happen to be running into certain obstacles and barriers in the workplace. So let's go ahead and get started. I got some 4 good points as far as what you kind of have to look out for while you're working in the workplace. Never going in with a paranoid mindset, of course. You always want to make sure you're there to present your best self. You're there to work, you're there to produce, and you're there to make sure that you get things done, okay? But there are going to be certain barriers that inhibit you from being able to perform at your best. So these are 4 good points, things that I've experienced while working in the workplace, working in corporate America. And to say the least, these types of people are always in every single industry. It doesn't necessarily matter where you work, it doesn't matter what industry you work. For some reason, this is something that is consistent in every workplace that I've worked at, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. So the first person I would say that you really need to be careful of while working in corporate America is that damn mangina, man. The mangina is pretty easy to spot out. He's usually the boss's right nutsack. He has no problem snitching on you when something goes downhill. He typically wants the attention from all the women, especially if he doesn't have a woman at home. He's probably trying to bang some of the coworkers over there. If he sees you as competition, he has no problem selling you out. He has no problem stabbing you in the back. This man is a straight up snake in the grass. I've definitely met my fair share of manginas in the past. They're very spineless, they're very weak-willed, and they don't care who they need to strike in order for them to be able to move up in the corporate ladder. I remember there was a time back then, I used to work at a logistics company, and there was a fellow black man that they partnered me up with the black man, thinking that we were likely going to develop a good relationship. He was supposed to help me in being able to achieve success in that job endeavor. Over time, we got to know each other. We went to go play ball every once in a while. I met his wife, and at the time I had a girlfriend. He met my girlfriend, and we got to know each other and whatnot. Come to find out, when I was getting prepared to go to a performance evaluation with the boss had mentioned a few things to me that I said in secret with him, and I'm just like, wait, hold up, where did this all come up from? It's like, he had no problem spilling certain things that I said to him to the boss, and the boss kind of said it during the performance evaluation with his assistant right next to him as well too. And I mean, I kind of bullshit my way through it, but it was I was just like, that's a little fucked up, So and the thing is, they're very sneaky. They're very sneaky, man. It's just like I said, very weak-willed, snakes in the grass. They don't have a problem striking you. They're playing as your friend just so that they can gather intel, so that they can use it against you later on in the future. Yeah, the mangina is the mangina is a bastard. Okay, just call a spade a spade. The mangina is a bastard. He sucks up to the boss. He sucks his meat every single night before the boss goes to sleep. He sucks his meat every single morning when he sees him at work. He probably sucks his meat during lunchtime as well too. Yeah, the mangina is a very weak man. There was also a time, me working with this mangina, I come to find out that he also had a personal beef with one of the co-workers there. I think, now, paraphrasing, of course, I can't say for sure I knew exactly what the beef was, but I want to say that the other coworker, I'll just say the other coworker was a Hispanic dude. He was making more money there. Okay, there's a lot of money that you could make in the logistics industry. Some of these guys were making $5,000 to $10,000 a week, which is crazy, right? But this guy in particular, the Hispanic guy, was making about $15,000 to $20,000 a week, which is insane. So a lot of us, some of us, would look at that as inspiration, as to like that's where you kind of want to strive to be able to make that kind of money. I believe the Mangina saw that as competition, as well as like that Hispanic guy was now in line of maybe taking the boss's job one day, becoming the GM of that specific branch one day. And being patient, waiting for the exact right moment and time, he used that opportunity to get that guy fired. Yeah. Like I said, the Mangina is a very weak man. Very weak. They'll sell their morals just for upward elevation in the corporate ladder, to get the boss, to get the promotion, to do what needs to be done. They don't care. They will get blood on their hands to get there. Watch out for the Mangina. He is a pussy. The second person that you also need to watch out for is the Jezebel. I just say the Jezebel as it could be a man or a woman, but for the most part, when we say Jezebel, we're thinking of women. The Jezebel can be dangerous as well too, especially if she's a big feminist. We all know, well, a lot of you guys may know, a lot of you guys may not know, feminism is really just a subsidiary of white supremacy. They've tricked women into thinking that they can do all bad by themselves. They'll find out eventually where that leads them, obviously. But yeah, the Jezebel, a lot of times she has to fight to get to the position that she is in today, whether it's a very high-ranking position in the corporate ladder. Now, I'll give them respect as far as having to fight tooth and nail to get there, especially when some men don't typically take women serious when it comes to business. I think things are changing for the better for women now, but some of these women kind of take it a little too far. They're in their masculine energy so much that they are willing to use whatever tactics they need to use to not only get rid of you, but to undercut you so that they are promoted to the position that they want as well too. They'll use their sexual appeal. They'll flirt with you. They'll grab up on you. They'll touch you. They'll make it seem like they're fond of you. And you're thinking, oh, well, maybe she's really into me like that. Come to find out, they were just using all those tactics just to weaken you and to find a way to, downsize you and try to get your job. It goes as far as them trying to get you fired. A lot of the times they'll try to get you uncomfortable in the workplace, especially like I said, if they think you're competition. They try to get you uncomfortable so that you don't make as many sales as they do. It's guerrilla warfare. These women are very ambitious, very masculine. They go after what they want. Like I said, they're in a sense, they're kind of like the Mangina as far as how far they're willing to go. Some are worse than others. And yeah, you just got to be careful of these guys as well too, because they can also get you in trouble with HR. Like, you're thinking that they're into you like that, but in reality, they're trying to get you in trouble with HR, and they might even try to file sexual harassment type of thing on you. So that's why I never advocate for trying to get with women at your job. I get it, you're there with them 7 days a week, but you're better off just trying to get with women that's outside of your workplace, just so that you don't get yourself into any kind of trouble. They try to trick you into thinking that they're really into you, but in reality, they're really just trying to mess with you. So the Jezebel. Be careful of the Jezebel. It doesn't matter if she's black, white, Hispanic, Indian. It doesn't matter. Asian. It doesn't matter. I would just say be careful. Am I saying don't talk to women at all at your job? Obviously not. There are some good women that you can work with, that you can, potentially make your wife one day. But I would just say kind of stray off from it, because there's the hyper competitive women at the workplace who take their jobs very seriously. I don't believe that they're the ones that you want to try to uh, make a relationship out of. It can be very difficult as well too. So since I mentioned the whole human resources thing during the last point, in regards of the Jezebel, that was another thing that I was also going to mention, that human resources is never going to be on your side. There's been multiple instances where I had issues with a coworker. I try my best to be cordial, but some people really just make it very hard. Like it's they they try hard to make sure that they aren't cordial with you, because they really just don't fuck with you like that, and they're trying very hard to just to do you take the hint. I don't fuck with you, and I don't want you here. That's why I want you to quit. Okay, so it goes back to my point as far as the whole human resources deal. You can have a problem with a coworker, but the thing is, human resources never really on your side, especially as a black man in the workplace. These are part of your workplace traps, okay? They're typically going to always side with the person who produces more money for the company. Human resources is always going to be on the side that protects the business. They always protect the business's interest, always. So you could be the one that's being harassed. You could be the one that's being dehumanized in the workplace. If your output is not as good as the person at who's bullying you, they're likely going to take the side of the person who's bullying you than they will take you, because your output isn't as great. They don't care. They could care less about how you feel. They don't have a problem letting you go. You're not making as much money as the other guy. And regardless, the person that may be harassing you, like, they might give them a strict warning, a verbal warning, one or two, three times. It isn't whatever it is. But think of it this way. It's pretty synonymous to how the government or the police system never really reprimands the people that kill black men in cold blood. They say they put them on a suspended leave without pay for killing a person. They literally kill a person and they put them on suspended leave with no pay. They don't ever really get the black people don't ever really get the actual justice that they deserve. You know, if you're gonna kill somebody, you should get punished for it, especially if it was intentional. Like, come on now. It's like, if it's intentional murder, they might as well just put your ass in jail for life. You know, but it's kind of the same. It's not the exact same, but it's like synonymous to what I'm saying as far as what happens in the workplace. Like, somebody could be harassing you. They get their warnings. They get their second warning, fourth warning. It doesn't matter, because the guy brings money, has good output for the company. They will likely try their best to keep that person, even though he's a piece of shit. It's like, the dude's a bastard. The guy has no character, but he brings in money. We're still gonna find a way to keep him, even though you can have like great character and you're not having a great level of output as that guy, but you're a good person. You're a decent person. They don't really have a problem getting rid of you. So human resources is never on your side. They're only protecting the interest of the company. So yeah, that's just how corporate America works, okay? Especially for black people. They're never if they can find a way to get rid of you, they'll get rid of you. That's just how it is, you know. They set these traps and barriers so that one strike, you're done. Okay. But for others, you know, your other counterparts, they can have multiple strikes and they'll find ways to keep them. That's why you have to always be on your P's and Q's while you're at your job so that you're not so that you don't get rid they don't get rid of you just off of the first strike, you know. In baseball, you have 3 strikes. In corporate America, as a black man, you have 1. If you're lucky, 2 strikes. If they like you, just maybe 2 strikes. That's just about it. Not every place, but this is just based off of my experiences. There is a trap that they set up where everyone in that group is likely of the same race, and you're likely you're the oil in the ocean, pretty much. So you have to go by what the whole group thinks, regardless of your own opinion on the whole group's success. So I remember one time in particular, back when I was still working at that logistics company, they put me in a group setting where all of my counterparts were, I mean, it was about what, 3, 4 of them were all white. And I would give a suggestion to the team lead as far as how we can kind of, you know, bring in an influx of more money, how we can sell our products a tad bit better, and finding ways to pretty much just reduce costs and raise profit. But everyone else didn't agree with my idea. And the funny thing is, like a week, 2 weeks later, they used that same idea, but they made it seem like it was their idea. They made it seem like it was their idea. And like, I want to say about 3 months later, it worked. It actually worked, but they gave the other guys the recognition and not mine, not me. So you got to be careful group settings like that, and you got to be careful with some of the ideas that you convey to them, because they likely will steal your ideas and make it seem like they were the ones that came up with it and you had no say, and you weren't part of the whole planning process as far as being able to build the business in itself. I remember this one time in particular where we had some weird conversation. You know, you got, at the end of the day, man, you gotta try to be cordial, even though you know deep down, like, these people don't really fuck with you. You gotta find a way to, you know, come together, just to, you know, come together to make sure that we, in a sense, we all have a common goal, right? Come together to reach that common goal. And we were having some conversation, and to make me feel uncomfortable, he brought up the fact that one of the counterparts, the white counterparts, brought up the fact that Muhammad Ali didn't enlist in the Vietnam War. So a proper response would say, well, Muhammad Ali didn't join the Vietnam War, he didn't enlist, because at the time slavery was at its peak, and he didn't see a reason to be fighting in a war to defend the same people that were treating his people like shit. You get what I mean? And they were also using his name to be able to bring in more black people into the war, because at the time they really only cared about numbers. But you guys want black people to fight for you, yet when we come back from wars, we get no benefits and still treated as second-class citizens. But that is not something that you should say in a corporate setting with your whole group, a whole bunch of white people. So obviously they would not take that lightly. So I could tell that that was a trap to to see how I would react, I would respond. And I was just like, yeah, I know it's It's messed up. It's like that's all you can really say. Yeah, it's messed up. But deep down, I mean, we all know what he was fishing for. You know, we all know what he was fishing for. So you got to be careful with group settings. They use their passive aggressive techniques to try to get a rise out of you. They try to undercut you. They backhand compliment you. Even though you know you're doing a good job, they want to make you seem less than. These group settings in the workplace, you got to be very careful and be very weary of it. You got to know how to maneuver correctly. But those are my 4 points. The corporate world was not set up for black people. Not all, not all jobs, not all corporations treat black people like this, but there are some traps that they set up to find ways to try to get rid of you. Okay, they want to keep you in control. They want to keep you in a box. They want you to be a loyal servant there. Okay, they don't want you to be creative. They don't want you to express your own opinions. When, as a black man, like, your creativity is your power, you know? So if you can't use your creativity, then they're keeping you in a box and you're not really using your actual power. Get what I mean? So those are my 4 points. Just be careful, keep your head up, and just, stay up and be blessed, and just make your own bread. But y'all be easy. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, and catch you guys at the next one. Peace.